A little bit different video this time. A couple years ago, I was at an RC event in the hills of Virginia, and we were flying around. It was mostly, it was all kinds of wings and quads and stuff like that. I had a Team Legit 4D8. It's a 48-inch wing. It had Crossfire, um, a Vector flight controller, GoPro Hero 4, um, 3.3 gigahertz video. It was set up for a long range bird. First and only time I've ever lost an aircraft. Anyhow, I was at this event. It's been a couple years. Never heard from the aircraft. Never got it back. Never heard of anybody finding it or any damage. And I'd been sitting on this uh, footage for a little while, and I kind of wanted to make a video because it hurts a little bit when you lose something, especially something that you built from scratch or pretty much built from scratch. And actually, that aircraft was kind of like a one-off. There's only a couple of them that were made. Um, as far as I know, there's only two. There's one in England. Uh, uh, the guy had one, and I had one. Johnny from Team Legit. They really didn't make too many of them. They weren't a very popular aircraft. Anyhow, um, so the field was around 1,400 feet, and you can see there's a ridge line here. Well, the top of that ridge line was 1,600 feet, and this valley where the river flows was around 1,200 feet. So, being from Florida, I knew there were some hills. I knew that I needed to keep an eye out for not flying, uh, you know, above, around, through something. But I kind of got lost in the moment in this flight. The yellow line indicates my flight path, and this red line is where the signal loss of the aircraft was. And if it was to return to home, this is the path that the aircraft would have taken. It's kind of the straightest line back to home. It doesn't retrace its flight path, it just goes straight home. So, you have to take that in consideration. That's that's something that I did not do. So, as you can see right here from this video, this is me coming back to the field. I'm about right here on the map. Coming back to the field, I'm doing a return to home test, which is good. That was, the first thing I did. Went out, make sure everything's trimmed up, hit the return to home, make sure my return to home's working. You can see I'm right around 300 feet, which I don't know. I don't think that was 300 feet. I think it was a little bit lower than that. I think the altitude, ground speed, and all our ground altitude and stuff like that was a little bit off. Something I should have taken into consideration, but I didn't. Anyhow, doing a return to home test. Um, Now I'm confident I've got return to home. I'm going to set out on my adventure. I'm just going to kind of follow the map on my with my cursor. As you can see, I'm approaching the river. Just, oh wow, this is really cool river to fly over, pretty houses and countryside. I wasn't even thinking about this ridge line that was right here. I was just following the pretty river. As you can see, it's you know, I thought that as being on this plateau, I was above everything. Obviously, I ended up not being and lost the aircraft. So, you know, cruising along, trying to stay not really above houses and population areas too much. I was following this, I think it's a railroad track. Um, so following the railroad track, just keeping my altitude so I could get some nice video with the GoPro. Uh, Nice ball field over here, and just enjoying the flight. Right now, 3/4 of a mile out. Decided to get some altitude just so I could see a little bit better. Um, I don't know if I was a little concerned about that hill or not. I kind of don't think that I was. I think at the time I was just trying to get in as much view angle as I could so I wanted to get some altitude. Nice pretty flight with the river and the buildings and stuff like that. Right now I'm about a mile out. So that's a mile as the bird flies. So, I've flown more than that distance. Only 5 minutes into the flight here. And as you can see, I'm only burned 1100 milliamps. I think that had 6600 milliamps. It would almost go a half an hour or more. 1.2 miles. I'm approaching this road right here. One of the things that I learned from this is I didn't have mountain mode on for the Vector. You can turn it to mountain mode, so if it lost signal, it's going to go and gain altitude from where it currently is. So currently right now, I'm at 546 feet. It would have gained altitude 300 feet more than that before on its return to home. So I didn't have that set. That was my mistake. So now our video goes out, and that was it. We're over here flying, and I really didn't know. I wasn't. Didn't panic. Let's see if I can get this thing to spin around. So here we are, a little bit better view. We're over here. The field was back over this way. When I lost the signal on the back of a Crossfire, full-size Crossfire, it'll give you a display with the GPS coordinates of the last known reported location. So using those coordinates, the coordinates gave me that it was in this field area, and I just was like ecstatic that how did I end up losing my aircraft in one of the best looking fields around. So I went over to this field and tried to reconnect with the Crossfire to try and triangulate where that aircraft was. And I searched all these woods. I went across the railroad track and I searched around here. With the radio, I could never pick up a signal. It has a battery backup, but I could never pick it up. Well, as I'm looking at the map here, there's probably a better chance than not that this thing turned around and flew back into this ridge line. And being the elevation that it was, it would have probably reduced heights as it's going back and flown right into that. It's been a few years. I never did hear from anybody that it was recovered. There's really nothing here other than a radio tower and some utility lines. So hopefully I didn't cause any damage. Maybe someday somebody might find it. It does have my name and information on it. I don't know. Anyhow, I thought I'd share you my story of my loss of my Team Legit 48. It was a nice bird while I had it. All right, take care.